Listen up, because this is a story that'll hit you right in the gut. My name's Emily Harper, 32 years old, and I never thought I'd be the one shoved to the sidelines at my own parents' 35th wedding anniversary party. After dropping $400 on a custom gift and driving 7 hours across state lines to be there, I ended up seated in what was basically a glorified storage room next to the kitchen, staring at crates of napkins while the rest of my family toasted champagne in the main hall. My mom brushed it off, saying it was just for extended family. But that was the moment something inside me snapped after years of being quietly overlooked. Before I dive into what happened next, drop a comment below. Where are you tuning in from? And if you've ever felt like the odd one out in your own family, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for how this unfolds. Growing up as the middle child in the Harper family in Raleigh, North Carolina, was like being the forgotten layer in a cake nobody bothered to taste. My older sister, Lauren, was the golden child from the start. Straight A student, prom queen, married her college sweetheart, Ryan, and popped out 2 adorable kids who my parents practically worship. She's a cardiologist now, living just a mile from our childhood home. Could she be any more perfect? Then there's my younger brother, Jake, the baby of the family and the only boy. He could do no wrong. When he crashed Dad's truck at 17 or got suspended for sneaking beer into a school dance, my parents just chuckled. Boys will be boys. They bailed him out of every mess. From failed startups to a string of bad decisions. Always with a safety net and a pat on the back. And me? Emily. Just Emily. Not dazzling enough to earn Lauren's spotlight. Not chaotic enough to demand Jake's constant attention. I was the reliable one. The one who got solid B's, stayed out of trouble, and left for Seattle at 19 to chase a career in UX design. College was my escape. For the first time, people saw me, not Lauren's little sister or Jake's babysitter. I thrived in my design classes, built a tight crew of friends, and landed a senior designer role at a tech startup. I carved out a life I'm damn proud of, a sleek downtown apartment, a scrappy rescue dog named Finn, and a network of friends who feel like family. But no matter how far I climbed, stepping back into Raleigh always dragged me right back to being the invisible middle kid. Within minutes of walking into my parents' house, my mom, Susan, would launch into updates about Lauren's latest medical conference or Jake's newest, big idea. My dad, Michael, would give me a quick hug and ask vague questions about that tech thing you do. Never quite grasping that I'm now a lead designer managing a team of 10. Family gatherings were a masterclass in biting my tongue. At Thanksgiving 3 years ago, my seat was shoved at the end of the table, half off the edge, while Jake's flavor of the month girlfriend got prime real estate next to mom. Last 4th of July, everyone got custom monogrammed tumblers, except me, who got a generic, Raleigh Rocks, mug clearly grabbed from a gas station. When I pointed it out, Mom laughed. "Oh, Emily, you're always so particular." I brushed off these slights, telling myself they weren't intentional. They're my parents, right? They love me, in their own way. So I kept showing up, kept trying to win their approval, kept hoping one day they'd see me. When the invite for their 35th anniversary party arrived, I marked it in my calendar immediately. 35 years of marriage is a big deal. And I wanted to show up big. I spent weeks hunting for the perfect gift, finally commissioning a local Seattle artist to craft a custom ceramic vase in the soft blues and golds of their wedding palette. It set me back $400, but it felt worth it to give them something that screamed I care. Even from 2,000 miles away, I called my best friend, Mia, to vent my nerves about going home. I just want this to feel different, I told her, pacing my apartment. I've been working so hard in therapy to break these old family patterns. I'm ready to show up as me. Mia, my rock since college, knew every detail of my family drama. "You're not that kid anymore, Em," she said. "You're a badass who doesn't need their validation. But if it gets weird, set boundaries. You can always walk away." Her words stuck with me, though I had no idea how much I'd need them. The 7-hour drive from Seattle to Raleigh gave me time to psych myself up. I checked into a hotel instead of staying at my parents' house, a boundary I'd set after years of being roped into chores while Lauren and Jake waltzed in at the last second. The night before the party, I wrapped the vase in shimmering gold paper, tucked in a heartfelt card, and went to bed dreaming of a family moment that might finally feel right. Little did I know, I was walking into a storm. The party was at the Magnolia, a swanky Raleigh venue with vaulted ceilings, twinkling chandeliers, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. My parents had rented the whole place, and it screamed elegance. I arrived 20 minutes early, dressed to kill in a deep emerald dress I'd splurged on. My auburn hair swept into a loose updo, and just enough makeup to feel polished but still me. The gift bag, padded with tissue to protect the fragile vase, swung lightly in my hand. I was ready to make this count. I spotted Mom right away, commanding the room in a glittering silver gown. Her auburn hair, just like mine, pinned up flawlessly. "Emily, you're here," she said, air kissing my cheek to avoid smudging her lipstick. "You look nice. Can you help the caterer with the table settings? They're a bit off." "No, how was your drive?" "No, good to see you. Just straight to tasks." Classic Susan Harper. "Happy anniversary, Mom," I said, pulling her into a real hug despite her slight flinch. "This place is stunning." "Yes. Well, Lauren recommended it," she replied, already turning away. "She knows the manager." "Now, those tables." For the next 15 minutes, I tweaked already perfect table settings while watching the family roll in. Lauren arrived with Ryan and their 2 kids, looking like a magazine spread. Mom practically squealed, fawning over the kids' outfits and Lauren's elegance. My dad's brother, Uncle Tom, showed up next. The guy who's never let me forget I wasted my degree on fancy computer art. Then came my cousin Derek, who'd borrowed $1 from my parents' safe 4 years ago and somehow still got invited to everything. Jake strolled in last, surprisingly polished in a tailored blazer, basking in the glow of his new job at Dad's real estate firm. I caught Dad's eye across the room. "Emily," he boomed, wrapping me in a bear hug that smelled of his same old cedar cologne. "Good to see you, kid." At 32, I was still kid to him, but his warmth was genuine, even if fleeting. As guests filled the main hall, I noticed place cards at every seat, except none for me. I tracked down Mom, who was ticking off her clipboard like a drill sergeant. "Mom, where am I sitting? I don't see my name." She barely glanced up. "Oh, we had to shuffle things last minute. You're in the side room by the kitchen." "Side room?" I echoed, confused. "Not here with everyone else?" "It's for extended family," she said, waving a hand. "Come, I'll show you." She led me through a service door near the kitchen to what she called the auxiliary dining area. Auxiliary, my ass. It was a converted storage room, barely dressed up with a folding table, mismatched chairs, and a single wilted centerpiece that looked like an afterthought. The concrete floor peeked out from under a too small rug, and stacks of catering supplies loomed in the corner. "Here we are," Mom chirped, as if she'd just shown me a VIP suite. "The servers will come through. So you're all set." And with that, she was gone, leaving me alone in this sad excuse for a dining space. I stood there, gift bag heavy in my hands, as laughter and clinking glasses echoed from the main hall. My chest tightened. I stepped to the doorway and peeked out. There, at the head table, sat my entire immediate family, Mom and Dad in the center, Lauren and her crew to Mom's right, Jake to Dad's left. Even Derek, the family thief, was there, grinning over a glass of wine. Every real family member was in the main room, everyone but me. Mom's words rang in my head, just for extended family. But I was her daughter. How much more immediate could you get? I sank into a rickety chair, texting Mia. "You won't believe this. They put me in a storage room. Everyone else, even Derek who stole from them, is in the main hall." Her reply was instant. "WTF? Are you kidding? Do something." Do what?" I stared at the gift bag, the vase I'd poured so much thought into, and felt the weight of years of being sidelined. 2 Thanksgivings ago, that gas station mug, every ignored milestone. This wasn't just a seating mix-up. It was a neon sign screaming my place in the Harper family hierarchy, the outsider. As Dad's voice carried from the main hall, starting his speech about family togetherness, something in me broke. "We're so blessed to have our loved ones here," he said, oblivious to his own daughter sitting in a glorified closet. The irony was too much. I thought of Mia's words. My therapy sessions. The boundaries I'd worked so hard to set. I wasn't that overlooked kid anymore. I deserved better. Grabbing the gift bag, I smoothed my dress, took a deep breath, and marched into the main hall, my heels clicking like a countdown to reckoning. The room hushed as I crossed the floor, eyes turning, whispers starting. Dad faltered mid-sentence. "Emily, everything okay?" I stopped at the head table, facing my family. "No, Dad, it's not," I said, voice steady despite the storm inside. "I just wanted to deliver your gift before I leave. From the storage room, where you put me for your anniversary." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mom's face turned crimson. "The storage room?" Dad repeated, bewildered. "Yeah," I said, locking eyes with Mom. "The one you called extended family seating. Funny, I'm the only actual family member out there. While Derek, who stole from you, gets a seat here." Mom leaned forward, hissing, "Emily, this isn't the time." But I was done staying quiet. This was my time. Buckle up, because this story's about to take you on a roller coaster of raw emotion and family truths laid bare. I'm Emily Harper, 32. And if you thought being banished to a storage room at my parents' 35th anniversary party was the climax, you're in for a wild ride. That moment when I marched into the main hall of the Magnolia, heels clicking like a war drum, and called out my family's neglect in front of everyone, that was just the spark. What happened next? The confrontations, the apologies, the slow, messy unraveling of decades of dysfunction, changed my family forever. If you've ever had to stand up to the people who were supposed to love you most, drop a comment below with where you're watching from, and smash that subscribe button. This is the kind of story you'll want to see through to the end. The room froze when I dropped the bombshell about being seated in the storage room. My dad, Michael, stood there, mid-speech, his face a mix of shock and confusion. "The storage room?" he repeated, like he couldn't process the words. My mom, Susan, went beet red, her silver gown catching the chandelier light as she leaned forward, hissing, "Emily, this is not the time." But I was done playing nice. "Oh, it's the time, Mom," I shot back, my voice steady despite the adrenaline pumping through me. "You put your own daughter in a closet while Derek, who stole $1,000 from you, gets a front row seat. If that's not a scene, I don't know what is." Gasps rippled through the crowd. My sister Lauren's perfect smile faltered, and my brother Jake shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. Derek, my cousin, sank lower in his chair, his champagne flute suddenly very interesting. Mom tried to salvage it. "We had space constraints. Emily, you're being dramatic." I laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. "Space constraints? There's empty chairs right there." I pointed to at least 3 unoccupied seats in the main hall. "You told me it was for extended family, but I'm the only actual family out there." "Explain that." Her mouth opened, then closed, her usual composure cracking. Dad stepped in, his voice low. "Susan, what's going on here?" But before she could answer, I set the gift bag on the table, the $400 ceramic vase I'd agonized over. "Happy anniversary," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "I hope the next 35 years teach you to treat your kids equally." To the folks in the storage room with me, the service is decent, despite the vibe. And with that, I turned to leave, the room erupting in whispers behind me. I made it to the parking lot, the cool Raleigh night air hitting my flushed skin like a slap. My hands shook as I fumbled for my keys, tears burning my eyes. I'd done it, I'd finally spoken my truth, but the weight of it all, the years of being sidelined, crashed over me. Before I could get in my car, the restaurant door slammed open. "Emily, wait." It was Dad, jogging across the lot, his dress shoes scuffing the asphalt. He was out of breath, his face a mix of anger and desperation. Mom's silhouette hovered in the doorway, watching but not moving. What the hell was that? Dad demanded. You disrupted our whole party. That's what you care about? I fired back, voice cracking. Not that your daughter was shoved in a storage room while everyone else, including Derek the thief, got to sit with you? Dad's face fell. I didn't know. Emily, I swear. Your mom said you were helping out and would join us later. I searched his eyes for a lie but found only genuine distress. You really didn't know? I asked. Softer now. He spread his hands. Why would I want you out there? You're my daughter. I leaned against my car, exhaustion hitting me. Well, Mom knew. She walked me to that room herself and called it extended family seating. Dad's expression darkened. That's unacceptable. I'm talking to her about this. Is it unacceptable, though? I asked, my voice quiet but cutting. Because this isn't new, Dad. This is just the loudest version of how it's always been. He frowned. What do you mean? I took a breath, the words spilling out. Lauren's the star, Jake's the project, and I'm nothing. You and Mom fly to see Lauren's kids, bail Jake out of every mess. But me? You've never visited Seattle. When I got promoted to lead designer, Mom changed the subject to Lauren's kids' science fair win. You didn't even say congrats. Dad opened his mouth, then stopped, his face crumpling. I didn't realize, he started, trailing off. You were always so independent. I thought you were fine. I had to be, I said, tears spilling over, because I learned early on I wasn't getting the attention Lauren and Jake got. So I built my own life. But that doesn't mean I don't want you in it. Dad leaned against the car beside me, looking older than his 60 years. I was so focused on providing. I missed what was happening. That's on me. I'm sorry. That apology, simple but real, hit like a key turning in a rusty lock. I'd waited my whole life to hear it. The storage room, he continued. It's not just about tonight. Is it? It's years of this. I nodded, throat tight. It's like Mom made visible what I've always felt. I'm on the outside. Dad's jaw tightened. Derek's in there, and you're not. I don't get it. Ask Mom, I said. I'm tired of guessing why I'm the odd one out. He straightened, a new resolve in his eyes. I will. But first, come back inside. Not for me. Not for your mom, for you. Don't let this be about you leaving. Let it be about you being seen. His words struck a chord. Wasn't that what I'd always wanted? To be acknowledged, not as the middle child, but as Emily? Mia's voice echoed in my head. You're not that overlooked kid anymore. Okay, I said finally, but I'm not pretending everything's fine. Dad almost smiled. I wouldn't expect you to. You've always been honest. I've always admired that. We walked back to the Magnolia side by side. The air between us heavy but hopeful. Mom was still at the entrance, her posture stiff, her eyes widening as we approached. Michael, she started, voice tight. The servers are waiting to serve dinner. Dinner can wait. Susan, Dad said firmly, we need to talk. Now. He steered us to a small alcove off the main hall. Private but visible. A clear signal this wouldn't be swept under the rug. Mom's voice dropped to a hiss. This is inappropriate. You're ruining our anniversary. No. Dad said. You did that when you put Emily in the storage room. Why, Susan? And don't say space constraints. I see empty chairs. Mom's composure wavered. It was complicated. We had to balance relationships. Who'd get along? And Emily didn't make the cut? Dad pressed. While Derek, who stole from us, did? Derek's family, Mom said defensively. And I'm not? I asked, echoing my parking lot question. For the first time, Mom looked at me, really looked. Her voice softened, but it carried an edge. You're so much like my sister. Emily, independent, talented, always doing your own thing. She left for California, chased her dreams, while I stayed. Lauren stayed. Jake needs us. But you? You never seem to need anyone. I blinked, stunned. You're punishing me for being like Aunt Lisa? Mom, I left for college, for my career, not to abandon you. I've been trying to connect for years. But you push me away. Dad nodded. She's right. Susan, Emily calls, visits, tries. We're the ones who haven't shown up. Mom's eyes glistened, whether from guilt or frustration. I couldn't tell. I've always tried to be a good mother. she insisted. Trying isn't enough, I said, gentler than I expected. You have to see us. All of us. Lauren approached then, her perfect poise cracking. Is everything okay? She asked. Glancing between us, Jake hovered behind her, uncertain. No, Dad said bluntly. We're addressing how Emily's been excluded. Tonight and for years. It ends now. Lauren looked uneasy. Mom said you wanted to sit separately. That you needed space. I stared at Mom, disbelief washing over me. You told her what? Mom looked away. I thought it'd be easier. For who? I asked. The answer obvious. Jake stepped forward. Wait. You didn't ask to be back there? Mom said you were running late and might skip dinner. The lies unraveled, and my siblings' faces showed dawning realization. Dad took charge. Emily's sitting at our table for the rest of this party. We'll make room. It wasn't a request. Mom hesitated, then nodded stiffly. Fine. We'll rearrange. It wasn't an apology, but it was a start. As we moved back to the main hall, Lauren caught my arm. Did you really not know? I asked quietly. She looked ashamed. I suspected something was off. But I didn't push. I'm sorry. Her apology, tentative but real, caught me off guard. Maybe she was seeing things clearer. 2. The rest of the night was surreal. A chair was added at the head table, right between Dad and Jake, with Lauren across from me. The china and crystal matched the main halls, a stark contrast to the storage room's mismatched setup. Mom kept up her social mask, explaining to curious guests that there'd been a seating mix-up. Dad stayed quiet, his hand resting near mine, like he was anchoring me. I barely tasted the filet mignon, my mind replaying the night's chaos. Aunt Carol, Dad's sister, leaned over during dessert. Good for you, Emily. About time someone called Susan out. Her words, gruff but supportive, warmed me. Later, Derek approached, looking sheepish. Can we talk? He asked, nodding to a corner. Curious. I followed. I'm sorry about tonight, he said. I didn't know you were back there. If I had, I'd have switched with you. Would you? I asked, not accusing, just wondering. He rubbed his neck. I hope so. I screwed up with the money thing years ago. But I've been clean for 2 years. Paid your parents back with interest. I hadn't known. I'm glad you're doing better, I said, meaning it, and thanks for saying something. As the night wound down, Lauren pulled me aside again. I've been thinking, she said, her voice unsteady. I've benefited from Mom's favoritism. And I didn't question it. That wasn't fair. Can we talk more? Get to know each other as adults? Her offer felt fragile but sincere. I'd like that, I replied, surprised by my own openness. When it was time to cut the anniversary cake, Dad insisted I stand between him and Mom for photos. All our kids belong here, he said loudly, making sure everyone heard. Mom's hand brushed mine, trembling slightly. Anger, shame, or something else. I couldn't tell, but for once, I wasn't erased. Dad caught me before I left. Come to the house tomorrow before you head back to Seattle. We need to talk. All of us. I hesitated. Tonight was a lot. Dad, please, he said, eyes earnest. This could be a turning point. But only if we follow through. I nodded. Okay, but I'm not pretending it's all fixed. Good, he said. Real change takes work. Back at my hotel, I called Mia, who'd been texting for updates. You went back in? She said. Incredulous. That's badass. It felt right, I said, kicking off my heels. Running would have been the old me. And your mom? She asked. She's not there yet, but Dad and my siblings are starting to get it. That's something. Mia laughed. You did what we talked about in therapy, boundaries. Truth. All of it. I'm proud of you. The next morning, I sat in my parents' living room, the air thick with tension. Dad led the conversation, owning his part in ignoring my exclusion. I thought you were fine because you were so capable, he admitted, but everyone needs to be valued. Mom was defensive at first, citing Lauren's kids and Jake's struggles as excuses. But eventually, she conceded, maybe I haven't paid enough attention to your life, Emily. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't the full accountability I wanted. But it was a crack in her armor. Over the next few months, Small shifts happened. Dad called weekly, asking about my projects, even visiting my Seattle office once. Lauren texted regularly, awkward at first, but warmer over time. Mom sent a card when I landed a big client, the first time she'd ever acknowledged my career. 6 months later, at Dad's birthday dinner, Mom set the table with place cards. My name was at Dad's right. A place of honor. Our eyes met across the room, and she gave a small nod. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it meant something. This journey taught me hard truths. Standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Accepting mistreatment, even from family, doesn't help anyone. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is disrupt toxic patterns, no matter how messy it gets. My worth isn't tied to my family's approval, it's mine. Always has been. The storage room wasn't just a seating error, it was a mirror reflecting years of neglect. By facing it, I forced my family to look. 2. If this hits home, you're not alone. Family can hurt the deepest, but you can rewrite the story. Have you ever had to call out your family's unfairness? Share your story below. I'm reading every comment. And if this resonated, hit subscribe and share with someone who needs to hear it. You deserve a seat at the table, not the storage room. Sometimes, you've got to claim it yourself.